Hi everyone, it's Ruchika Nirvan. I'm director at Learn and Play. So, like always, I am excited to talk about kids and their learning through Playway. So, last time we have discussed about social stages of play. Today, I would like to talk about cognitive stages of play. So, when we talk about cognitive stages, the continuum remains the same, as in social stage of play. Kids, they take one thing, and when they take certain thing, this is the cognitive development of the play. At particular age, we play with particular object. A infant cannot just start playing a bat or a racket. So when the child is at infant level, the first stage is cause and effect. So they hit something and they feel that something is moving, and they like it. They like that movement, and they repeat the same action again and again. This is what cause and effect learning is all about. Cause and effect learning gives direction to error and trial learning. So if when the child grows a little and they see that there is a small block around and they want to fix it in a box, they will try one place, they will try at another place. At the third place, the box might take that shape, and that's how kids learn. Okay, it's going in. They'll do the same thing with other objects, and that's how their cause and effect learning develops. And the more and more they do error and trial learning, the more their cognition develop. And then we move to another stage. This is a sensory motor stage. So when the child at a very early stage, they touch things and they feel it. They touch leaves, they smell it, they touch shiny objects, they touch stones, they touch sand, they touch so many things, and that's how our mind registers in our, cognitively we develop this memory. Okay, this is hard, this is soft, this is not hard, this is cotton is very nice to touch, this is a hot thing, I might get burned. And a lot of kids, you have observed that if they touch usually hot things, and that's how they develop this idea, okay, this is hot, we are not going to touch it again. So this is one thing that again our memory recognize, and that's how cognitively they move to sensory stage. And motor part is involved because they start using their gross motor, fine motors, bilateral, like working with both hands. When they play with the mud, when they play with the sand, they usually play like that. And taking a spoon, mixing it, putting it in one box, or how to coordinate my own actions, my both hands, how should I coordinate so that I can play this. Okay, and the same is like when we play with when the child, that they engage in a cause and effect thing. So when they take some blocks, they are very particular about putting it, how they are arranging it. Okay, and this is the learning which takes them to the construction level. So they know sensory part, they register in their mind that this is what the sensory dimensions are, and this is how my motor actions can balance things and cannot balance things, and entire learning of cause and effect. And then we move to the construction part, where kids start assembling one thing, and then they use their FFCs, which is function, feature, and class. So our brain registers everything. This is a building. Oh, this is also a tall thing. This is looking like a building. So they start saying one thing, and they match it with the previous learning, and that's how they come up with the idea. Oh, मैंने building बनाया. Look at my building. Or they make a train. They put blocks in a line, and they'll say, oh look, this is the train. Or they make a general simple engine, and they'll say, oh look, this is a steam engine. I have watched it in a movie. And there is always a memory related when kids start developing something. When kids grow a little more, so then they think before, okay, today I want to make a castle, let's make a castle. Then they can think, and then they are able to construct one thing. But before that, they just construct something just like that, and then they label it. So there is a difference. There are two parts of the construction. So whenever a parent says, okay, you start building it, you start do this, make a train. So there are chances that kids might not be willing to make it. Maybe they want to create something on their own and they want to label it on their own. So after construction, you will see a lot of kids, they will make a building, they will get miniatures, mama, papa, baby, doggy, and they start acting pretend play. So pretend play comes next. So I have achieved cause and effect, sensory motor, construction stage, and after that I am ready to engage in a pretend play. So kids, they construct a doctor place. I'll put a table, I'll put 2 chairs, there will be a door, I'm arranging my doctor set, now you come, and they play it so orderly that you can see that how much their imagination is going on. And at times when we deal with autism and kids with special needs, at times they don't have this visualization, these imaginations. So after suppose if my child is at construction state but is not doing pretend, so what my part is, maybe I will model the same pretend part in front of my child so that they can do it more, or I can show them a lot of storybooks, a lot of visuals, so that they know that this is how that girl was playing. I can try the same, and we can motivate the child. Okay, today I am the teacher, or you are the student, or you are the teacher and I am the student. And we with the different role rehearsals, and kids, they feel really motivated to play one thing. Some kids like jungles. There are so many things of pretend that they can go on, be it jungle, be it zoo, be it doctor, be it plumber, be it fruit seller. So they have different concept in their mind, and I always request parents to respect their imaginations and engage in it, because that's what the flow time concept is like. We respect our kids' visualization and imaginations, and we deal with it and we engage in the same play. And whenever we think that, yeah, here I can add more visualization, imaginations, we use it in a different manner, and that's how our kids, they grow. After getting into the pretend play part, kids feel high need of developing rules. So when we talk about rule games, it requires a high regulation, the self-regulation. So if I am playing a game, I have to stand behind the line, I cannot go above this line. So this requires a high regulation part. At times our kids, they don't have that high regulation that they can stand and wait and they have to be behind this line, these minute details. So that what should we do to create these rule game regulation, that I'll be talking about next time. But when we talk about rules, we usually add visuals in front of them, so that they know, first we are going to do this, second we are going to do this, third we are going to do this, fourth we are going to do this, and this is how we are going to play with friends. And by modeling the right action, again, like suppose if I'm playing run or run catch, simple game, so we say, so we can usually provide that environment that one is just simply running and another person is catching, because at times kids, they don't know whose turn is there, it's my turn or it's his turn. The turn concept, the dinner concept, this all comes later. But just this understanding that I am touching somebody, now they will catch me, now I am touching somebody. So we have to divide our goals according to our kids. But rule game comes after the pretend play, so where there are a lot of games including the rules, basically starting from free play environment to board games. And both the journey of entire rule games varies. When we talk about a particular board game, it requires, like, after 8 to 10 to even 12, we can take these board games involving rules. And a lot of kids are liking this experimenting, like it requires everything, like chemistry lab. So they have sensory in it, they have a sensory component in it, and they have causative component in it, they have rules in it, because they will read everything and then only they'll be able to make something. So this is another hierarchy which kids are involving nowadays after 11 years of age. But what about 5 to 7 years or before 5? So basically according to the kids level we develop rule games, and we usually take it according to our kids skills and needs. So if my child is just running around and is not stopping, maybe I'll add a start and stop card first. And by seeing all these cause and effect, sensory, motor, construction, pretend, and rule games, you will see the entire cognition of the child, including involving the overall development, be it motor, including gross and fine, including sensory part, including the social continuums of play, where from solitary to associative to cooperative, these letters are also coming along with the entire hierarchy. So I would really request all the parents to encourage your child more and more in play, and you can see that learning is happening on its own. Thank you so much. Stay tuned.